News article just released, Berkshire Hathaway, which is Warren Buffett's investment company, has a record amount of cash on hand. Over $334 billion sitting in cash. Here's exactly why he's sitting on that much cash. The stock market is insanely overvalued right now. The historical average valuation for the stock market is 22 times EBITDA. EBITDA stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization. So it's essentially like net income before you pay any debt service and that stuff. So if the average historically is 22 times EBITDA, and that's what historically these companies have been valued at, today, you know what these companies are valued at? 42 times EBITDA. Almost double the historical average is what companies are currently being valued at. If you're someone like Warren Buffett, who's been around the block for a while and has been through many different market cycles and has been investing for 70 years, you know when you're at the top and when you're at the bottom of a market cycle. And the stock market is so insanely overheated and overvalued, he is cashing out at the top and pulling cash off the table. You know what he's investing it in now? Is dividend producing assets. Things that are paying predictable amounts of money, which give him expected predictable cash flow, where now he can take those funds, and as the market resets over the next couple of years, he has the ability to liquidate some of those things and then go and buy up more companies, more assets at deep, deep discounts. So if Warren Buffett's doing that, do you think it's something that maybe you and I should be doing? So I actually did that. I took my Roth IRA out of the stock market and rolled it over into a self-directed retirement account, a self-directed Roth IRA. And then I took that Roth IRA and I invested it into dividend producing, essentially debts, and making loans out to different companies and different real estate operations that I'm intimately familiar with, that I know we can pay a predictable rate of return to my investment account. So here's exactly how I did it. I contacted my financial advisor, who just has my Roth IRA invested into a mutual fund with 3,000 different stocks. And realizing those stocks are overvalued, I pulled that money away from him and I contacted a self-directed retirement account custodian. The one that I work with is Specialized Trust Services. I've worked with them with many different investors. That's who I work. And this is not a plug for them. I don't get anything from saying this. They're just usually one of the fastest that I've worked with, and their customer service is over the top amazing. So Amanda Holbrook, who's an absolute rock star, is who my person is over there, and I can even link to her. Again, I don't get anything from this. But I contacted Amanda, and I let her know. She helped with getting everything transitioned over. It takes a couple of weeks. She contacted my financial advisor. There was some stuff that I had to do and just let them know that, yes, I approve this. They then moved my account over to the custodian. And then now I can self-direct it, which means I can tell the custodian who I want them to lend my money to. And so I have a buddy of mine who does some real estate investing, and I have another friend who is growing a business. And I took those funds and I told them to allocate, I told the self-directed trust company to allocate a certain amount of capital to each of those investments. They then send the money to those investments, and those investments then predictably pay as a debt, is how I wanted it structured, because I just want predictable income. And it predictably pays me 10% plus annualized return on my investment into my retirement account without any risk to principal. And then that note comes due in a couple of years. They then pay the principal back to my retirement account. And then that retirement account gets to keep all that money, and I can then redeploy it and reallocate it as I see fit. So if this is something that is of interest to you, here's the step-by-step process. 1, make the decision and contact a self-directed retirement account custodian. There's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of great ones out there. Check out Specialized Trust Services. That's just who I use. And Amanda's done an awesome job for me, so I'm happy to plug her. Secondly, find someone to invest with. If you're looking for low-hanging fruit, I have Legacy Cash Flow Fund. Right? We pay somewhere between 10 to 14%, depending on the amount that you invest and the length of term that you invest it, up to 60 months. And the longer you invest with us and the more you invest with us is how you cap out that 14%. But the base return on investment is 10% without any risk to principal or anything along those lines. I will say you do have to be an accredited investor in order to invest with us, which means you have to have a net worth over $1 million, excluding your primary residence, or you make $200,000 a year as an individual, or you make $300,000 a year as a married couple filing jointly. So if you meet any one of those criteria, you are an accredited investor, and you can invest in Legacy Cash Flow Fund. And we will pay you predictably on a quarterly basis through your retirement account or with cash, 10 to 14%. But there's also a lot of other people out there who you can lend to in the real estate world or in the business world. Just make sure they're vetted, make sure they've been around the block for a while, they've operated for a long time through different market cycles in an investment asset class that you feel very comfortable with. But as I'm sitting here reading about Berkshire Hathaway and Warren Buffett pulling all their cash out of the stock market and putting into fixed debt service assets, that is what I'm going to be doing too. I'm duplicating what the wealthiest investor in the world has done in order to then mimic and get the same kinds of returns that he has. So thank you for being here. Please like, subscribe, and any comments that you might have, put them in the comment box. If you have any questions about any of the content that we ever create, by all means, put it down there, and I'm happy to then answer those questions and deliver as much value as humanly possible to you. So appreciate you, love you, be your best.